Let's get it on. Yeah. That blow your ears out? Hi, kids. What's happening? Monday. Let's get the business out of the way. Don't forget about, my new special, Another Senseless Killing. You can go to nickdip.com right now and pre-order. You can order my special now. It'll be available for online streaming and MP4 downloads on January 2nd. As an extra bonus, you also get individual MP3 tracks of the entire special, but that's only if you pre-order before January 2nd. All of this is just $5, and you have the option to pay more if you'd like. As you know, I have a bad case of dry scalp, and those treatments aren't cheap. So when you order it, you immediately get a confirmation email on January 2nd. You'll receive a link with your download code. You can also send this as a gift, kids. A Christmas gift. Just click on the gift button at nickdip.com. And on Christmas morning, they will receive an email, the people that you sent the gift to, telling them that you bought it for them. And then they can download or stream it on January 2nd. It's Another Senseless Killing. Very funny killer album I did in Minneapolis at Acme. And, I'll be heading out. I'm going to go out to California first week of January and get on the Joe Rogan podcast and Corolla and a few others. Be plugging it out there. All right. What's up? What's first on the agenda? I don't know. It's, look, the last show, we talked about, Ferguson and the verdict. And since then, the verdict came down in Staten Island. And you all know how I feel. I think I said it before. And I'll say it with Eric Garner, both these guys. And I don't want to get too heavy on this shit again, But, if you comply with the cops, both those guys would be alive today. Not much more complicated than that. I know you'd like to make it a racial thing, but even Eric Garner's wife said it wasn't racial. Okay, so that throws the protesters in a loop. And, you're running on a false narrative, and it's just sickening. It really is. As far as mostly the Ferguson thing. The cops, the Staten Island thing, I can see how, with the video and stuff, and, I see that being more problematic or whatever. But, the notion that white cops are out somehow trying to kill young black guys intentionally is just a bunch of baloney. And you protesters look like dicks when you're out there spreading that myth and fucking up traffic so I can't get to work, and fucking up traffic this morning so people can't get to their morning commute, and trying to fuck up the Christmas tree lighting or the Thanksgiving Day parade. You just have too much time on your hands. Yeah, you look like you're enjoying it, actually. I don't think you have anything else to do with your fucking lives because you're probably very unpopular in your personal lives. Usually people who take up causes and make it their lives, unless it's a legitimate one. But, anyways, so what the hell? Now you get, let's talk about my weekend. I went to a party Friday night. I went to a Christmas party with my wife, with the people, where we keep the horse at this barn up in this beautiful town in Westchester. It's just... And it was pretty interesting. There was some cool people there, all very nice people. Great friggin' food. Actually met this young guy. He was a keyboard player for Lady Gaga. He invented like a circular 360-degree keyboard. But you could tell he looked famous. His face looked familiar. He's this tall guy with glasses and a young kid, black hair. And, I could tell he's a musician or a magician. I couldn't actually. But, and then we figured it out, me and the wife later on. There was it was pretty cool. But the reason I'm talking about this is they were serving this drink in this, it was in this round I don't know how to describe, about the size of a trash can cover. I mean, it looked like a wooden bowl, you know. Not too deep, only a few inches deep, with a couple of plastic. They look like, picture 2 coconut shells, you know, in the drink, and it looked just like a mud puddle. The liquid was a light, you know. You pull into a wet dirt parking lot and you see that, you know, it looked like a mud puddle. And I see people drinking it, and I see the guy who had the party, his wife, every time somebody drank it, she would start chanting something. And I'm like, what the hell's going on over here? And they explained it to me. It's called Kava. It's a drink that's popular well, she found it in Fiji, I guess. But yeah, it's a crop in the Western Pacific, from Tongan. They have it in Hawaii, all over the place. It's consumed throughout the Pacific Ocean cultures of Polynesia, including Hawaii, Melanesia, some parts of Micronesia. Anyways, it's Kava is sedating and is primarily consumed to relax without disrupting mental clarity. Its active ingredients are called cavalactones. And, yeah, some doctors say that it's more effective than a placebo in treating short-term social anxiety. I drank it, you know, after being... It just looks horrendous, and it doesn't taste much better. It didn't taste as bad as I thought. Just picture, I don't know, a homeless guy's socks being rinsed in the sink, and then you drink the water. Like that. Something like that. But the minute I drank it, right... I could feel on my gums and my tongue a little bit of numbness, right? When you used to do cocaine, for you folks out there who like to fucking yayo, I get this kind of a numbing of my gums, a little bit in the back of my throat, you know? I sounded like the guy in the shampoo commercial. It's tingling. It's working. And then I felt a nice, cut to the chase. Long story short, I slept like a baby that night, okay? And you guys, I've documented my sleep problems, you know, on this podcast many times, but I slept a solid 8 friggin' hours and felt good the next day. But here's the problem. I don't know if it was the Kava that I had, a couple coconuts full of, or if it was the, you know, I had 3 glasses of wine and a White Russian. So, was it that or the mac and cheese or the, you know, whatever else I had? But I slept like a baby. But when I drank the stuff, I'm like, yeah, I think I feel a nice, relaxing. But again, then I'm like, I worked out that day for the first time in about 3 weeks, and maybe that's why, a combination. But I want to try it again, and I know there's products out there that have it, this Kava. But some, you know, I guess you got to be careful. People taking certain Kava-based drugs and dietary products have suffered liver damage or liver failure. At this point, with my friggin' sleep problems, I look forward to liver failure. That'll be one deep sleep right there. But I don't know. I slept like a baby. And so I say try to find it, Kava. It's out there. The most potent strain is called ISA, ISA, in Papua. It's in Papua, New Guinea. And they also serve it. It's also called Tude in Hawaii. They call it 2 day because it is said to have effects lasting 2 days due to its chemical profile being high in the cavalactone dihydromone festian plant. Anyways, so I want to get a hold of this woman and get the recipe, and this might be my cure all for my sleep. I want to do it, like I said, when I don't have booze or 6 pounds of mac and cheese in me. When do I look like a fat fuck? Ooh. Speaking of that, we'll stay on the health part of the show. Went to my primary care physician, who I like. I don't know if I should mention his name. Probably not. In cases like this, even though I'm very complimentary. Yeah, because, I had knocked my cholesterol down, 6 months ago, whatever. And then I had some more blood work done because of the Lyme disease. And I forgot that I had an appointment for blood work. This was a few months ago. So I was on the road, and I was eating like a comic does when he's on a road. Because you know those healthy comedy club menus they give you, you know. Try the Daryl Hammond chicken fingers and the friggin', you know, the Michael Che cheeseburger and the anybody who's doing better than you in the business, they name sandwiches after. And I was eating half bags of giant, you know, white cheddar popcorn while I was laying around my house. And it dawned on me like a week before I had the appointment about the cholesterol test. And I'm like, oh, Jesus. So, you know, as I expected, came in a little high. I think it's a big scam to sell pills. I think I mentioned this earlier. To sell these statins. So that was the discussion. And I met with my doctor. And I actually I have some audio I recorded. It didn't go very well with my doctor. We started to argue about, you know, certain things, food and stuff. And you're like, why would you record them? Well, I don't trust anybody. So this is me and my doctor talking about my health, I think, hopefully.
What are you, a vegetarian? You eat beef and sausage by the fucking carload.
Yeah, that's how it started. Do you hear me hit him with a bedpan? I got him flush on the cheek. And then we discussed my, you know, I told him it's my sleeping habits are horrendous. We got into that whole discussion. And I told him how I got shingles for the first time. An actual outbreak, and he broke my heart when I was told him. I'm like, for Christ's sake, I drink raw kale smoothies, you know, and I do like 3 times a week. I put, you know, one of those NutriBullets, throw it in with some fruit and water or whatever. And just that's supposed to be like the cure-all. It is the life form. The most healthy thing you can put in your body is that green shit, I was told. And he just laughed at me. He goes, it's all bullshit. Oh, my God. I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? I'm drinking this stuff that makes me spray paint the bowl an hour after I drink it. You tell me it's bad for me? Not bad for me, but, you know. He goes, it's a lot of kind of hype. And I said, look, I'm not drinking smoothies, you know, next to the yarn barn at the mall with 80 pounds of sugar and ice cream in the fucking things. I'm throwing, you know, weeds that my neighbor throws in my yard into a goddamn NutriBullet. Putting grass clippings in there. I'm eating like a friggin' squirrel or a raccoon. You gonna tell me that's bad? Well, a raccoon eats garbage, huh? A squirrel. Yeah, so he's like, it's a bunch of baloney. Which, it's obviously, it's not, I don't care what he says, putting raw vegetables, any kind of vegetables or fruit in you, obviously, I think we know that's good for you, but it just surprised the shit out of me. I really wanted to. And then we get into the sleep, the whole sleep thing. So we had a whole discussion on that, and here's how that went. Because he said, you know, he asked me about me being depressed, which I think I am. You ever been in your car and you just start, like, tearing up for no reason? Well, I say no reason, as I'm leaving the Comedy Cellar for the 159th night in a row after 30 years. Maybe that's a reason to cry on the way home. But, yeah, I get all fucking emotional for no reason. Just like, well, whatever. Here's a whole discussion on that.
It's like just the fucking regularness of life is too fucking hard for me or something. I don't know.
That's what I said to him, you know. And here's more of that conversation.
What, take fucking Prozac? Not this skinny guinea.
Yeah, he keeps going, you know, depression, lack of sleep, and I have all the clinical signs. So what? But here's what else I said.
Cancer. Something fucking horrible is going on inside my body. There's a physical change or something.
Does this word cancer pop into your mind a lot? A little bit? What? Huh? Well, I'm just...
I know he sounds a lot like Gandolfini, my doctor, but honestly, it's not.
Thinking maybe you're depressed.
Me? I'm no fucking mental midget.
And that's what I said, though. Yeah. You know me, folks. It's my favorite show ever. I can work that shit into any aspect of my life. That's why it was so Shakespearean. Absolutely love it. But, yeah, so anyways. But here's he gave me an ultimatum. You know, I'm an occasional smoker, okay, of cigarettes. Let me clarify in this day and age of alternative lifestyles. You know, I like to and I've been doing it for years. And I started on stage like an ass. I've told you this before. Back in the early 90s at Catch a Rising Star. Got a huge laugh with a cigarette I brought on stage. And that's how desperate I was back then. I hung on to it. Risked cancer so I could get laughs. And then I felt comfortable. I felt naked without one on stage. But I'm never a pack a day or even a half a pack. I think I bought maybe 3 packs in my life. So I'm not a real smoker. I'm a social smoker. And, but even that, he said to me, even that, he gave me a choice. He goes, I can put you on statins, and I've been on that shit before, and I've read stuff about it, and I don't like how it makes you feel sometimes. I don't know. I thought I had a dull ache in my liver. Maybe I was imagining it. But I've read so much shit on how it's just, you know, drug companies selling pills, and what used to be considered normal cholesterol is considered high now and whatever. And I asked the doctor's assistant, not this guy, some woman I went to here in Westchester like 10 years ago. I said to, it's actually 8 years ago, 7 years ago. I said to her assistant when she left the room, I go, does she get a cut every time she writes a prescription for this Crestor and shit? And the doctor said, yeah, she does. And she rolled her eyes too. I'm not going to mention who that was, but... you know, kind of confirming my suspicions. So what he said to me was, look, as far as he asks, he goes, do you still have a couple cigarettes? I go, yeah, like 4 a week, 5 maybe. And even so, he said, look, and he keeps pulling out this stupid calculator. And if I smoke and you know, continue to have high cholesterol, quote unquote, my risk for cardiovascular disease is 11%. If I take out the cigarettes, it goes down to under 5%. And there really is no good argument for smoking. Let's be friggin' honest. I said, I know. I go, you're right. But I said, I'm a high-strung prick, and a cigarette sometimes... I've also had another doctor. I'm not going to say who this was. Well, he was a dentist. Who also said the steam that it's relieving, the release I get from it's probably more beneficial than actually hurting me. That's all I needed to hear. But the point is, there's no reason to smoke. I know that, and I don't want to go on friggin' statins. So I said, that's it. You know, I'm not gonna do it. And I haven't had one since the appointment on December 3rd, I think. What's that, 3 minutes ago? Big whoop, Nick. I agree. Excuse me, mother of God. That one came up. It was a hot dog I had at Madison Square Garden 18 months ago. So, yeah. That was the whole discussion. As far as my health goes. But come on. I'm like, come on, dog, give me a friggin' break. I'm 52. I look better than 98% of the people that are 52. And then he showed me a picture of Tony Randall with no shirt on at 52. And I said, I have to admit, I look like shit. What else? What else in the world? Yeah, so that party was fun. It was up right up where the stables are and shit. Got to see my horse. I hadn't seen in about a month. Thank God for the wife, but it's her horse. I bought it for her. I told you they were a pain in the ass. A horse, you know, I talked about the ligament injury, and so they put a wrap on her leg, and now she kicks the wrap off with the other leg. My wife put a camera. My wife, I tell you, I would never try cheating on this broad ever. She puts a camera up, one of those deer cameras that you put on your property. See the deer eating your flowers, and then you catch your gardener stealing your hubcaps. She put one of those because the horse, every time she come in the morning, the wrap would be off or whatever they put on her leg, and she had all these cuts on her legs, and she put a deer camera in the horse's stall. And all she found out from that footage was the horse was like sharing hay with another horse, a male horse next to it. They were like almost like kissing, which is what they were doing when we went into the barn Friday night. Anyways. Anyways, the legs get scabs all over and shit, but it's getting better or whatever. I don't know where the wife gets the patience for this shit. I'm telling you. I'm thinking about calling Corky Iannuzzo, the guy who did the electric work for the stables, for Pyomai's stable on The Sopranos. We've been through that anyways. Pain in the balls. Let's talk about Rolling Stone magazine, huh? Who would have guessed that they'd publicize an article about rape on a college campus at a fraternity that really has no merit, but they went with the story anyways, and I guess we're supposed to be surprised, that a magazine that put one of the Boston terrorist bombers on the cover made him look like Jim Morrison when he was 18. I guess that should surprise us all. Fucking douchebag. They should sue this. You guys all know what I'm talking about. They published an article a few weeks ago about a woman, supposedly University of Virginia, who was asked to go into a fraternity with some guy, and he leads her upstairs to some room where it's all dark, and somebody sucker punched her and threw her through a glass coffee table, and then she was allegedly raped by 7 guys from the fraternity. Another attack. Of course, they didn't check out any of the facts. Little things like they didn't try to get a hold of any of the guys who were accused. That would be hard to do, seeing they were in a fraternity. And just a total fucking horseshit lie that you could only find in 2014, because the radical left will fucking do anything to further their shitty agenda, whether it be lying about cops or lying about white heterosexual males. You all remember Duke Lacrosse, that whole story. It's just fucking evil on another level. That The magazine seemed to have struck again last month with a vivid account of a young woman who said she was gang raped at the University of Virginia fraternity party. A story that helped drive the national debate over the problem of sexual assault on college campuses. Again, that does happen, and it does happen too often, but not to the extent that they say it does. See, I'm a little skeptical of all this feminist horseshit after, was it like 5 years ago, or maybe even longer than the NOW organization, or the National Organization for Women. Remember the little rumor they started that women were more vulnerable and housewives get beat up more on Super Bowl Sunday? And then they had to retract that when there was no truth to it. They even had to apologize. Yeah, ever since then, I'm really fucking skeptical of I call it war on men, actually, and you say war on men, that's a little bit of an exaggeration. Well, between the child custody laws, anytime a husband goes to court, to get custody of his kids, those laws, and you can ask any female lawyer this, like my friend Jonna Spielberg. She's a great lawyer, and she even said, the custody laws are slanted towards the mother, obviously. And then, then you got schools drugging up little young boys with Ritalin because they keep, they're just being little boys, but we call it ADD now, so they get half of, we shouldn't say half, but a lot of young boys being drugged up with Ritalin just for being little boys, and shit like Title IX that cuts out men's sports programs, again, out of fairness, so the girls' volleyball team can be represented at the University of Vermont, but not the fucking wrestling team. That type of shit. That and expanding the definition of sexual assault. If you look at a girl the wrong way, she'll file. Whatever. I'm not saying it's not a problem, but again, they take it and run with it. But Rolling Stone, they should, these guys, this fraternity ought to just sue this. How the fuck is it still in business? Ugh. Then they apologized this weekend. Right. For the story. But even the apology backfired. The woman, supposedly the victim's name, they use as Jackie in the story. And supposedly one of the attackers was like he was a lifeguard at a pool, I guess, on the campus or somewhere. They checked that out. There was no lifeguard. Nobody in the fraternity who was a lifeguard. Just total horseshit. But Yeah, the apology was even kind of skanky, like by Rolling Stone. The note to readers initially said that Rolling Stone's trust in Jackie was misplaced. They're actually blaming her, blaming the victim. Fucking scumbags. This weekend, as it faced further criticism for that characterization, it quietly changed the note to say that it was mistaken in honoring Jackie's request to not contact the alleged assaulters to get their account. Still sounds like they're blaming her. But then they said this mistake's on us, Rolling Stone, not Jackie. But it's still, they still can't admit to it. Of course, the guy who founded Rolling Stone, Jan Wenner, that's a fella, by the way, he declined to be interviewed about this or offer any comment. Just a left-wing piece of shit rag. Wouldn't wipe my dog's ass with it. Ha ha ha. And, yeah, for those of you who don't like my politics, don't fucking listen. Some kid tweeted, been a fan of the podcast, but can't take the politics anymore. Moving on. To which I, replied, yeah, well, it's not that you don't like politics, you don't like my politics. Which, and that's typical. I said, well, why'd you let me know you're moving on? Why didn't you just fucking move on? Hashtag intolerant chooch. Anyways, you guys all know the story. The whole thing seems like it was made up, or there's no, they just took it and ran without, clearing any of the facts. And what's it do? It undermines women who are legitimately assaulted on campuses, which happens a lot. But who's going to believe them when you keep doing shit like this? Sabrina Rubin Erdely, contributing editor who did this story. She repeatedly asked Miss Ederle that those she accused of raping her, I'm talking about Jackie, not be contacted. When the magazine brought up this issue again later, she threatened to withdraw the story. The details of a heartbreaking conversation recounted in the story in which Jackie tells her friends of her rape and is told by her friends she should stay quiet also came only from Jackie. One of the friends declined to comment, and Miss Erdely could not reach the others. Sure she couldn't. I'm sure she made a real fucking effort. Guarantee you she looks like a fullback from Ohio State. Oh, you evil motherless fucks. Anyways, that's all I have on that. Just, I loved it when Louis C.K. was on the cover of Rolling Stone last year, remember? And it was right after the Boston, I think it was the issue right after they put the Boston bomber on there, one of them. And fucking Louis just shit all over the magazine. I loved it. But isn't that so typical? Go after a fraternity, because that cuts right to it, right? You don't get much more white and, white European history, right? The whole Greek system. And how many times you hear that in movies? He's a typical white frat boy. They don't even say white. They just say typical frat boy. And, that's code for white. Just evil fucks. Honest to God. The whole Duke Lacrosse thing, those guys' lives are a mess still. Anything to further that agenda, right? That anti-white male devil. The white male is the devil. Yeah, Rolling Stone magazine. I hope they get sued, I really do. Remember this one? I think Three Dog Night covered it. That was Liar. Yeah. Anyways, what else did I want to talk about? Crazy world. Oh, esports. Rape. Liar. Headlines. Colleges embrace esports with teams and scholarships. This one, at first I'm like, as a former jock, I'm like, oh, God, really? It really is Revenge of the Nerds. But then it's like, well, it's the free market, man. If there's what it is kids playing video games and other people watch, I mean, I don't mean like a handful of their friends watching. Now we're getting in the thousands and people are coming, it's becoming like a sporting event, which, hey, this is the United States that, it's a capitalist system. It's a free market. If somebody can make a buck. But are you shitting me? What does that say where we're at? I mean, it's one thing to be good at playing video games, but you're watching other people play? You got to be shitting me. What'd you do? Lose your fucking genitals in a fire? What? Got dip, get a good little buddy dip. College embraces esports. Unbelievable. Video game competitions, also known as esports, have taken off on campuses across the country, including Harvard and Florida State University. More than 10,000 students now play in the biggest college league, 4,400 more than last year, and 4,600 more than the number of men who play Division I college hoops. I'm sorry, though. Who'd you rather watch, Kentucky and Louisville or Ding Chow Chow versus, Kevin Butler? Winning a big tournament can sometimes earn players several years' worth of tuition money, and in a possible... Let me just say this. I respect the kids who are actually playing the games a little bit. I mean, because they've mastered something. But you dickheads who sit there watching or pay to watch, you just fucking... You might as well have no limbs. You shitting me? You can earn several years' worth of tuition money. The department at the athletic department at Robert Morris University, that's in Chicago, of course. Anything good ever come out of Chicago? Other than Tony Esposito. Google it. Yes, the Robert Morris University created an official video game team this fall, offering the same sort of scholarships given to athletes playing soccer, football, and ice hockey. Oh, my God, are we friggin' finished? While the college esports craze started as a grassroots effort, game makers have quickly swooped in. Of course they have. Like vultures on a dead fucking carcass on Route 126. The companies now underwrite scholarship prizes, offer team banners, and provide organizational support. Colleges, meanwhile, are often standing at arm's length, while esports groups are often sanctioned clubs receiving practice spaces from their schools. The leagues and the competitions have few of the student regulations governing traditional college sports, like grade point minimums or time limits on practicing. Well, of course, you don't need a grade point minimum. Most of these dorks that play this shit, the reason they're so good at it, they have enough free time because they're smart. They get A's without studying. They have free time. Oh, my God. The NCAA, they have no comment on esports. But I guarantee you, if they can get on the loot, they'll get in on the loot. And like I said, if there's a market for it, who are we to poo-poo it? I'm just saying, though, to admit you watch I can't even name a game. That's how little I fucking know about these games. But, Halo. Watch two people play Halo. Whatever the fuck. But how about the fact that, they practice and stuff? And it's just, here's the other concern. In addition, formal recognition could diminish the autonomy that companies and teams have on campuses, bringing about rules like Title IX, the gender equity law. I already brought that up earlier, Title IX. Can you imagine that could come into play? These are their concerns. For game developers, however, the lure of being on campus is simple. We think that's where a lot of our players are, said Michael Morhaime, the chief executive and co-founder of Blizzard Entertainment, which develops and publishes entertainment software. In September, Blizzard, that's his company, flew 8 finalists from the College of Staten Island, University of Massachusetts Amherst, and other colleges to Seattle to compete for $5,000 in scholarship money in a tournament of the Hearthstone, a virtual card game from the company. Last year, Azubu, The games media company sponsored a competition that awarded $40,000 in prize money to 6 students on a StarCraft 2 team from University of California at Berkeley. It's huge, man. It's huge. Oh, it's just, I don't know. I'm sorry. As a former jock, I like how the article, here we go. A team of 5 students from the University of Washington won. This is a tournament. Last February, Riot Games hosted its first North American Collegiate Championship, something like the Final Four for Leagues of Legends, Riot's popular online battle game. A team of 5 students from the University of Washington won in front of a roaring audience at an esports studio that Riot operates in Manhattan Beach, California. Get this one. This is what blew me. With 169,000 more people watching online at the tournament's peak. You 169,000, just put a gun in your mouth. The prize was $7,500 in scholarship money for each team member. Oh, we've finished as a nation. I gotta believe though, if you're getting good at this and practicing, you're really not looking at your physics and your math. That's probably why we're 115th out of 12 countries as far as important stuff like math and reading. But it is an international thing, I guess. The college scene is largely organized around the Collegiate Star League, which started at Princeton in 2009. The organization is now active at 450 schools, up from 260 last year. Holy moly. And corporations like Coke and Ford and Google are all getting into the scholarships for this. Wow. Here's a good line for you out of the. Today's most professional players skip or delay college because the college age years are considered the prime period for players in the big leagues. Playing at the professional level requires far too much time for practice and travel to tournaments to allow them to also attend school. We're putting school aside so they can play video games. We're fucked. I don't know, man. Colin Quinn used to do a great bit about how people come home now, instead of doing hobbies, we watch people on TV do shit that we used to do, like play poker. Instead of playing poker, you watch people play poker. Instead of remodeling your kitchen, you watch people remodel a kitchen. It's really a sign of a country in decay. We're too affluent. I think the only solution is Kava. If we all start drinking Kava. I want to have a Kava party. I want to have a Kava party where I, like the Jonestown Massacre. Like my, in college, what's the guy that runs your dorm? The DA, whatever. Jim Hussey, he had a Jonestown party for us. Jonestown Massacre party. Remember Jonestown? That's when that cult met in Guyana somewhere, and James Jones made them all drink this poison Kool-Aid, and they found hundreds and hundreds people dead. Well, we had one of those with kamikazes my freshman year in college in the basement of Gannett Hall, and there's my RA up there with a ladle. We're coming up with Dixie cups, and he's giving us ice-cold kamikaze drinks. And I was new to the kamikaze, and but it tasted like lemonade or whatever. It was delicious, but it was ice cold. So of course we're drinking them out of Dixie cups. But I probably had 11 of them in about 25 minutes, and next thing you know, I'm throwing up under a stairwell. And I remember waking up, and somebody said I got in a wrestling match with this kid Roger on my floor, and there was a pile of his hair in front of my door. And another kid was found between 2 parked cars. Could have drowned in a puddle. Luckily, he was on his back. But I want to do that with Kava. So you're all invited. Can't tell you where it's going to be or when. I'll have a Jonestown Kava-type massacre party. I'm dying to try that shit again. I really am. Yeah, so esports. Get good at it. I wouldn't. I'm telling you. I wouldn't even know how to plug in an Xbox or any of that shit. I'm proud to say. I wish I could say, well, I don't play video games. I read. I don't do either. Now you can read about video games and watch people play video games. Imagine they getting scholarships. This is tremendous. And the article about that starts, I love how it starts. This kid, Locke Tran, Loctran, he's a big man on campus at San Jose University in Northern California. A lot of people stop me when I'm walking, said Mr. Tran, a 19-year-old sophomore, and he speaks in confident bursts. They congratulate me. But he's not a star on the football team or a leader in student government. He's a top player on the school's competitive video game. This who's going to be getting the pussy? Guys like a Locke Tran? I don't know. I still say the linebacker or the quarterback. You know what I mean? Maybe a girl turned on by a video game. Well, it's all about the dough and being successful, right? Oh, they beat San Jose State. He helped them beat, back in June, California State University, Fullerton. Damn it, I remember that. I had Fullerton, plus 3.5. Cost me 2 dimes. But how about this? 90,000 people watched that match. And classmates' heads swiveled toward him when professors said his name during a roll call. That happened to me once after the UMass game, my biggest day up at UMaine. I was in a class of about 140 people, and we had taken a test the previous Friday, and it was Monday. So I was kind of BMOC for about 24 hours, and my teacher was a sports fan, and he goes, why don't we have Mr. DiPaolo? And he comes over to me and hands me a stack, hand out the test results. And 3 girls from Lewiston, they were 5'4", about 380 pounds, all gave me the eyes. Because that's what we got up in Maine. Not a lot of ass up there. But I know that feeling. The other classmates' heads whip around and look at you. That lasted a long time, didn't it? Really took that degree and ran with it, huh? Telling jokes in front of fucking bachelor parties. What the hell else, kids? Smoking, Ebola. Football pool. How about it for my best week ever? Not that it matters. At least I'm not down at the bottom. I'm playing for respectability. I'm trying to blend in the middle. My brother is 2 off the pace for the whole year to win the whole thing. That's pretty goddamn impressive. I told him if he was really gambling, he'd be in the money. But how about this? Very interesting. I have 12 right out of 15 going into tonight's game. Me and 3 other guys. But somebody already sewed it up. Somebody already won with a grand total of 14, which means they only had 1 wrong. Okay? They only had 1 wrong on Sunday. And it's keeping me from winning the goddamn thing. If I'm right tonight, I'd have 13 out of 15 or 16, whatever okay? Which is usually a shoo-in for a win. But no, somebody had to have 14 yesterday. Somebody only missed 1. And you know who that person is? My goddamn brother! My brother! Yeah. One wrong. 14 out of 15 yesterday. That's unbelievable. I mean, you get 13 right, 9 out of 10 weeks, you're going to win the whole thing for that week. And this son of a gun. I hope he wins the whole thing, though. Guess who's ahead of him? Some chick named Trish. Yeah. You believe it? I mean, I was having the week of my life. I'm like, yeah. And, Yeah, if I get tonight right, that's 13. At least I'm out of the bottom there, kind of. But that's pretty amazing, huh? My brother missed one, and it was the Eagles Seattle game, and I got up that morning, and this is how easily influenced I am, and why I suck at this. I heard one guy say, "Well, the only thing is Seattle needs this game because they're in a tight fight in their division, and it doesn't mean that much to the Eagles." And that's all I needed to hear, because usually when these teams have to win, they do win. So I switched mine from the Eagles to Seattle, and my brother that's the only one he didn't have right, the Eagles. And that could have went either way. Although I get porked in the Kansas City game. I don't care what anybody says. They call the fumble on a tie. Whatever. It doesn't matter. But I took the Packers tonight. I think they're laying like 11, maybe 11.5. That is a lot to the Falcons, who I think really stink, even though they played well last week. Anyways, congratulations to my brother Greg, son of a gun. Hope he wins the whole shebang. Maybe he'll give me a nice pair of moccasins for my Christmas gift. Oh! Yeah, a couple weeks away from Christmas. It's been fun, I gotta be honest, driving from Westchester into the city and fighting these protesters. Hitting fucking traffic and, oh, my aching stem. Wish I lived in Oklahoma for the month of December. Honest to God. Can't believe it's frickin' Christmas again. College football, real quick. Again, I keep this short because I don't know when you listen to it. But they picked the 4 teams. You know, it's a new playoff thing this year. Top 4, right? Playing a little round-robin tournament, actually. So they got Alabama at 1, who has 1 loss. And they got Oregon, I think, at 2. I think they have a loss. Florida State, who hasn't lost. They're at number 3. And Ohio State was the last team. They're at number 4. They beat the stuffing out of Wisconsin. And, I mean, just bludgeoned them to death. And Wisconsin's a pretty goddamn good team. You can argue all you want about that. Could have been TCU. Could be Baylor. A lot of other teams were deserving. But Ohio State, whatever. I don't know. They're just going to get their ass. It doesn't matter who it is. Well, I might double think that. They might... you might be better off with a Baylor. I don't know. Alabama's going to murder whoever they play. They look frightening again. Nick Saban might be the best college coach ever. They took apart Georgia Tech at the joints. Was it Georgia Tech? No, who'd they beat? I don't know. They won the SEC. Which is... How do I not know that? I should have that here somewhere. Let me pull it up. Anyways, yeah, so Ohio State, which is number 4, they play number 1. You know how it is. The best team gets to play the weakest team, which is Ohio State. And anytime Big Ten goes up against SEC, they get destroyed. And that might happen again. Then Oregon gets to play Florida State. I would take Oregon in that, too. Wouldn't you, kids? Huh? Sure you would. Yeah, so that'll be fun. It's kind of a playoff. I don't see how it makes it any easier. You got like 6 division champions with 4 slots. It seems like more of a headache now. I don't know. But anyways, I'm looking forward to that. I might even I'm going to have to find a bookie. You know? Those games will be awesome. Sip some Kava. And, well, he ain't gonna load ESPN. Who did Alabama? Was it Georgia Tech? That doesn't sound right. Not Georgia. Georgia Tech's ACC, you dummy. It was Missouri they kicked the shit out of. Missouri. It was Mizzou. And they were up there. They were pretty 12th or 11th. And I mean, Alabama just took them apart. They look like they could beat some pro teams, Alabama. I don't know what Saban does, man. Unbelievable. Anyways, yeah, Christmas around the corner. Worst Christmas ever. Just thought of this today. My girlfriend Nancy, I just got out of college, a few years after college. And, broke up with my girlfriend, or she broke up with me. I think I initiated it like an asshole, and then realized I wanted her back. She wanted nothing to do with me, and I was crushed. And I remember going to my parents, I think on Christmas. I left the party and went and saw Jack Nicholson in Hoffa. Sat in the last row, just miserable, half paying attention, looking at other couples going, I want to bite her nose off and spit in her face. Look at that dirty whore. Just miserable, sitting in the back, angrily eating Twizzlers. Not even half watching them. And Nicholson was great in that. I later saw it on TV when I wasn't in a funk. How's that for a Christmas day, though? Ugh. That's the one that sticks out. Horrendous. And the other one I told you about, I had shoulder surgery right after high school. And the only slot they had open on my second surgery was Christmas Eve. So I had to do it because I wanted to try to go out for ball that spring or whatever. Remember I told you? I think I told this on a previous podcast, but woke up on morphine or some shit, and I hit the nurse over the head with a styrofoam candy cane that they had hanging over my bed. It literally broke on her. I remember her telling my parents, she was laughing about it. She said, I was all fucked up on drugs. So those are the two that stick out. Best Christmas gift was what? My baby gun, my Daisy air rifle. I killed many a pigeon and pheasant with that. Couldn't do that now. As you get older, you become more mellow. Back then, I was like William Money. That was from The Unforgiven. He was a killer of women and children when he drank. I didn't have to drink when I was killing pheasants. I could do it sober. I hated him that much. But I remember giving my buddy Robbie Sear my BB gun. It was both pellet and BB. You could use both. And I remember I had BBs in it on this day. And I said, I only want you to pump it like once or twice. But I took my shirt off and I ran down the driveway. And I said, I want you to shoot me in the back. So I take off running, and I'm like, okay, and I'm still running. I'm like, okay, he should have hit me by now, which means he pumped it about 4 or 5 times more than he should. And he hit me in the back and broke the skin with a BB. I was bleeding. Shot me in the back. Right in the fucking back, he got me. That was my best gift. That and the New York Giants football uniform. Came in a box, the whole uniform. I was a Fran Tarkenton fan when I was a kid, so I had the Giants uniform. My brother was a Dallas Cowboys fan. Even then, he knew more as far as betting. And, we went out in the backyard, and I remember I tried to hurdle him, and he cut my legs, and I landed on my head. Those are the two gifts that stick out. That and the 60-pound bag of puppy chow. My dad would buy shit if it was on sale. Didn't matter. Enjoy your puppy chow. It's 40% off. I didn't have a lot of money. What are you going to do? That's about it, kids. What can I tell you? Again, don't forget to go to nickdip.com and pre-order Another Senseless Killing. And, do that. If you do it before January 2nd, you'll get the MP3 tracks of the entire special. And after that, they'll be separate, and it'll be $8 for both, or $5 for one or the other. And but like I said, if you go to nickdip.now, you can gift it to people too, so they can have it. They'll get the email telling them that you bought it for them. You can be a hero, and then they get downloaded on January 2nd, like everybody else. So do that. nickdip.com for all your guinea needs. Alrighty. That's all I got. Where am I going to be? Nowhere, really. I was going to be, I should mention this. I think on February 4th I was supposed to be, and again, this isn't changed yet, but supposed to be at the Main Street Armory in Rochester. It's a theater up in Rochester on February 13th. And apparently Jay Leno has just booked himself across the street. I'm sure it's some huge hall. And I don't think I want to go head-to-head with him as far as ticket sales. But so that might be moved again. I hope not. Then again, would it be really bad not to have to go to Rochester in February? What are the odds that's not going to get snowed the fuck out? Anyways, after that, the Comedy Works in Albany, February 26th through 28th. That should be a doozy. And before that, January 23rd, the Suffolk Theater in Riverhead, New York. January 24th, the Treehouse, Sports Haven Treehouse in New Haven, Connecticut. And Bananas on January 30 and 31. Oh, I'm working on my birthday. And that's in New Jersey. I forget where, but you can Google it. Hasbrook Heights, it's called. Something like that. All right, kids. Good talking to you again. And I'll see you out in the clubs, yo.